All right, so let's start this off with a quick question.
Start all the way over.
Let's start all the way over. Take it from the top, dude.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we're starting again. Take number 698.
Yeah.
Go.
Welcome to Hot Laps, brought to you by Heatshield Products. Race testing.
All right, welcome back to episode 4 of Hot Laps by Heatshield Products.
It's our weekly podcast, or we try to do it weekly anyway. If you're listening on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, whatever, please like, subscribe, share, leave us a review, leave us some feedback. You can email any questions you want to have answered to podcast@heatshieldproducts.com. And if you're watching us on YouTube, just please subscribe to the channel. Hit that little alert notification there, the little bell, so you know when we've got a new one up.
All right, so let's just kick it off with a question for discussion. Movie cars, all right? There's a ton of movies out there, so take a brief second. If you could have, own, drive, you only get to pick one, what movie car would that be? Shane?
I'm going to pick an obscure one. I'm going to pick that Mercedes from Ronin.
And
it's a Mercedes. I can't remember the number, but I know it has like a 6.9 liter V8.
Didn't he have the Audi?
Yeah, they had an Audi in there, an Audi S8 in the beginning, and that's the one that can't remember his name, John something drove. But there's a scene where they're in the little plaza, and Jean Reno and Robert De Niro take off in that Mercedes, and you can just see it billow smoke as soon as they take off.
Yeah. That was
a big motor. It was the biggest Mercedes motor, I think, at that time.
Highly underrated car chasing. That's like one of the best. I absolutely love that.
I was going to say, they destroyed that car, right?
They did.
Yeah.
They were shooting RPGs out of it and everything.
Stevie, what do you think?
Movie, not TV show, right?
You can do whatever.
Okay.
I mean, we know what's coming, I think.
Well, okay.
But go for it.
Like, okay, if we're going to do TV show, I mean, the A-Team van is really cool, but there's nothing cooler than being Magnum P.I. in that Ferrari, Robin's Ferrari. It's not his. He's driving it. He doesn't have to pay for it. How great is that?
That is
but if we're going to do movie, I'm going to go... It seems to me, you could go Batman and all that other crap or whatever, not that that's crap, but that's not like a real car.
Mm-hmm.
I would kind of like that truck in Tango and Cash.
Oh yes,
just because
I forgot all about that.
I'm my thing is if I ever had to pick a getaway vehicle, if I was going to do some nefarious activity, and I had to escape, my getaway vehicle would be a Ford Raptor because you can haul butt, go on and off road, that kind of thing. But that truck in Tango and Cash, because it's kind of like a Raptor before it was a Raptor.
Yeah,
I might take that. That thing was pretty awesome.
Yeah,
that was sick. Yeah, that was a great one. For me, I don't know. It's weird. Like the very first car kind of movie that I saw, and don't ask me why, but it was Road Warrior. And, I mean, you really can't flip on a blower, but it was pretty cool. And the thing was just so like industrial, like he booby traps on it, and it's just like armored up and got the flick on blower, and the thing would like he'd be going 80 and he'd kick that thing on and it squeal tires. I mean, it eventually gets destroyed at the end of the movie when he blows the dude up. But I think that would have to be
that's
my
great
pick.
car.
That is.
So.
Isn't that the when that car blew up? Was that the flying eyeball scene out of the guy's head? Remember that? That movie, that was great.
It was.
I love that scene. Wasn't it when he got hit? The guy ran the motor. Oh no, God! I'm thinking Mad Max. You're right. That is the eyeball scene.
Yeah, I think that's. I could be wrong, but I think that might be it.
It's just great that movie had two versions: an English version and an Australian version. And the way they spoke was obviously different, but Mel Gibson's awesome, and that car touched my heart.
It's kind of like watching Swamp People. They still have subtitles for people in English, right?
Yeah.
It's time to answer those burning questions. It's tech time here on Hot Laps.
I think the one thing about our product that kind of scares some folks is that they're like, man, I don't want to do it because I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of doing something that's too hard. I don't think I can do it. And I think you two would be great people to answer these questions. Like when you're looking at installing the majority of our products, to me, they seem easy. But maybe you guys could take us through just your thought on that, because I think people are like, oh man, if I buy this, I got to spend hours and hours and hours doing it. But the reality is,
I don't think we have anything that takes hours and hours to install.
No, unless you're going to do...
Unless you're doing a project.
A header, right? And you have to turbo manifold, something like that, and you got to take it off. Because that really, honestly, the best way to do that is to get that off the car. Mm-hmm. But the actual, our actual product installation time is minimal. I mean, it's little to nothing. There might be some labor involved getting the component or part of the car off, but it's absolutely minimal. Our stuff is it's actually pretty easy.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I mean, when you design this product, I think for the pipe armor kit, I mean, that just kind of came about because we wanted to make it easier for the consumer to use. Yeah. And I mean, we did a JK here, and literally, because you don't have to cut the product, you're measuring, you're putting it up. I think I timed it was less than 7 minutes. Yeah. So we'll just let everybody out there and know that it is really a DIY product that can really affect the way your car performs, or even your comfort within the car. Just cover up that one heat section, and you could be on the trail an hour, 2 hours longer than you would because you're not burning up or
toasting your feet,
racing or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I mean, there's things you could even do, like if you're at a racetrack or something like that. There's even stuff you can do to quickly fix something there, like pop a fuel line off, or use one of the Velcro sleeves to, when you're having a vapor lock issue or things like that. Some things do take a little more time, but again, most of it is really, it's just moving the stuff out of the way to get the product on. That's really where the difficulty is. And if you can take a header on and off car, you know what, you can do anything pretty much what we're doing. Yeah. Even newer intake manifolds, those gaskets, the O-rings on them, I shouldn't really call them a gasket. They're reusable, so you don't have to replace those. It's not like the old
unless they're 10 years old.
Yeah, like an old 350 Chevy or something like that, where you're small block Ford,
one time use.
Yeah, you got to replace the gasket and that kind of thing because you don't want it to leak, and you're going to put an intake manifold shield on. But even the intake manifold shield, especially on newer cars, man, it's super easy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the hardest or the longest part of when we did that JK and the pipe armor kit was the filming.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was. I mean, you literally, that was like, I think it was a 3 foot. Wasn't that the 2.5? If I remember correctly, it was 3 foot, 2.5 pipe armor kit, and it was clamp it on, wire it on, and see you later out the door.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, so probably less than 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because we had to wait for the cameras and everything to get on. That's a good point.
They could measure once or twice.
Yeah, I mean, again, the effects that a couple minutes can do is kind of is a nice thing about our products, and again,
we can really change a ride, or you can really. It's neat that something so simple can greatly affect a person's quality, comfort, even horsepower, like those intake manifold shields.
Right.
It's a simple product. It's not complicated, and it's amazing how much the little things can do to affect performance. Yeah. Or your ride, comfort, that type of thing.
You can't enjoy it if you're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Okay, next question is about air intake, cold air intake. This person writes, I'm looking for a product to wrap my air intake. I'm getting confused on what the best product that will give me the best temperature reduction. And then he goes on to say, after I get done with that, I'm gonna do something to my air box, but they weren't sure what the best product was for that. So one, can you talk about the cold air intake and what you would use, best product, maybe two options. And then the other one would be if you're going to do the box.
Airbox.
Airbox is an easy one. You'd want to use some sticky shield.
Yeah, that's the best one. A lot of people want gold, and our gold it's reflective. Don't get me wrong, but real gold is very, very reflective. But nobody really has the money to afford to dip their stuff in real gold. It's a little complicated because there was another company out there saying, "Oh yeah, just wrap it with." They copied lava wrap. Were the first ones to have a volcanic rock, so they were saying, "Oh, just wrap your intake with that," and that's a huge no-no. Like that's cardinal sin number one. That's an insulator. It's designed to retain heat. It doesn't shield heat.
It's great if you want to increase the temp of your intake.
Absolutely,
it'll work great for that.
Totally agree with that. Another problem too you fight is a lot of aftermarket quote unquote cold air intakes. Mm-hmm. They just flow more hot air. They flow a lot more air than a stock intake, but it's hotter air, so that doesn't really do any good either.
Mm-hmm. So you get into a custom box at that point, or
you just try to go back to your factory setup if you haven't hacked everything up.
Yeah.
Basically, a good cold air intake kit will pick up at the factory location, because the factory people, they have to meet emission standards. They got to meet fuel mileage standards.
Yeah, they efficiency as much as possible.
Yeah, that's right, and they have to do it as cheaply as they can. So they've engineered this vehicle to accept cold air at this spot. Mm-hmm. So unless your cold air kit has a better pickup point for the fresh cold air coming in, don't buy it. Buy somebody else's. Find one that does, and if nobody does it, then just shield your stock intake, because you could actually get a better performance gain from a stock intake that's properly shielded than spending money on a aftermarket one that just flows more hot air.
So the consensus is the airbox, sticky shield, but the
pipe itself. The Thermoflex sleeve is awesome. That's number one, the best one to use. And then you could use one of the tapes, either the Thermoflex tape or the cold gold tape. But the Thermoflex sleeve is great because it velcros on. You can cut holes for different sensors and things that you need. Relatively easy to use. You can make it look real professional. And that's what our cold air intake kit's a universal thing. It goes 3 feet long, 3 to 4 inch diameter, inside diameter, I should say. And then it comes with the tape to kind of seal it up, make it look pretty on the edge. That's another big thing too, is on these, anything you're trying to shield like that, just like your fuel line or anything else, just make sure those ends of the sleeve are snug so no hot air is going in behind it.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the Velcro is wider on our air intake kit, so it will fit multiple sizes.
Yeah, 3 to 4. Yeah. So it's like there's a couple of passes of 2-inch Velcro on one side, and the other side's just got the single layer.
Yeah,
and you just kind of put it anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, again, a great example of what you could do in an afternoon or a morning to keep those air intakes.
Yeah, make a big impact. So Arthur Irwin, he's a producer for Brenton Media. And I know him because he's always trying to get us to go on the show and do things. So that's how I know him. He actually made his own quote unquote cold air intake out of PVC pipe and that kind of thing. And his actually wasn't that bad of a job. It sounds a lot worse than it does. It sounds like maybe something I would do, maybe, but he sent me pictures and emailed me data and everything. So what he then did, he's like, hey, I'm having a problem. It's working better, but it's not working like it should. So we insulated it. I sent him some stuff, and I said, look, I just want you to tell me what your fuel mileage is. And he picked up 1 mile per gallon. I think it was a 99 V8 Grand Cherokee. And it was a pretty simple thing to make an intake for, so I think that's why he did it himself. Otherwise, some of these things are just too many convoluted bends and shapes and those types of things.
Right. So Velcro closure, there is a question here. I purchased a Thermoflex sleeve with Velcro. It works great. Just had a question on where the Velcro should be in association with the heat source.
Yeah, opposite side.
Okay.
So you don't want it facing. It is high temp. It will not. It's not a combustible piece of material. And it's not Velcro. It's
It's
hook and loop.
Hook and loop.
Hook and loop. Velcro's a trade name, so we can't use it. Hook and loop. Hook and loop. So you just face that opposite direction of the heat source. And if you've got multiple heat sources, so like say it's in an engine bay and you got like a header and then engine heat or whatever, just try to get it the best direction you can from the least amount of heat. And that's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Same thing on that. Just make sure the ends are tight. Sleeve can be loose on the wire, the line, the hose. That's fine. It doesn't matter if it's super tight on there or not. Just make sure those ends are nice and snug so no heat sneaking in behind it.
All right, good. Next question. It's kind of, I'm going to combine two, but this person writes, I'm finally done with my car, but I have fuel lines that run next to the exhaust. Basically what happens, he spent years building this car, went out and ran it, and he had vapor lock. Mm-hmm. So he writes on here, how do I finally conquer vapor lock?
Yeah, that's such a loaded question because it's different for every car. Small block Ford, small block Chevy. A lot of us would put like a metal line, run it from the fuel pump that's down on the side of the block, run it up into the carb, and that would conduct heat. That's an easy one. You just, hot rod sleeve. That's my favorite thing for vapor lock. And the nice thing about that is with a metal line, those fittings and tubing, if it's, you're running like a 3/8 tube or whatever, the sleeve will stretch around the fitting, go down, and then you heat shrink it. Again, sealing the ends down with the heat shrink or something like that.
Trap heat, yeah.
Exactly. That particular gentleman there's so many variables that you have to.
He may not want to remove all those fuel lines.
Yeah.
So he'd want to use like a thermoflex sleeve.
Yeah, thermoflex sleeve or tape
or a lava tube.
I love the lava tube.
Yeah, I think that. Okay, so here's the thing: thermoflex. Wow, that's hard to say. Apparently, I need more coffee or something. Thermoflex sleeve is great if you have a 1-inch air gap.
Okay.
Airflow, air gap, that stuff is awesome. I mean, it literally will reflect over 90% of radiant heat, but air gap, airflow, that's almost as important as a material. This guy, I don't remember the details of it, but if his header is really, really close to those fuel lines, your best, easiest shot at a fix would be to put the lava tube on there because, while it may not reflect as much heat, a little thicker, a little more substantial, and it will reduce the amount of heat transferred into the fuel line, The other option would be to use like either our header armor kit or
make a little shield.
Yeah, use that on the header. You don't have to do the whole header, but at least a portion of it. Just keep in mind that whenever you do just a portion of exhaust, you want to go like anywhere between 3 and 6 inches before and after the point, because the points right before and after any type of insulation on a pipe will be a little bit hotter. But yeah, it is loaded. There's so many different solutions. Hot rod sleeve fixes about 85% of it, and that's I love that stuff. It's a great product.
DB Skin. I know we've been up on our Instagram. We've been putting a lot of insulating, sound deadening stuff up there. Where did the DB Skin? I mean, where does that idea come from? And then if you were gonna, let's say you had to do a car from start to finish, insulating and then trying to do something to curb the heat as well, could you just explain that process?
So like an interior install. It depends on what you're doing. So what level of quiet you want.
Mm-hmm.
DB Skin is great. Like if the car's a shell, if it's empty, hasn't been painted, or if you're real meticulous and you want to mask everything off, it's great because it can, if you spray it, it will fill like every nook and cranny. The absolute, like in my opinion, if I have, this is what I'm going to do to the Mustang when we get it, if we ever get it done. DB Skin will be on the roof panel. Roof panels are weird. You don't need to go sticking a bunch of real heavy insulation up there.
Right.
We got some really awesome Cortex racing suspension for the Mustang. I don't want to be putting a bunch of big heavy asphalt sheets up there and just kind of changing my center of gravity. So up there, you're just trying to get the ringing out. The DB skin will more than handle that. In fact, it'll do awesome. It'll actually give it a little structural integrity. Instead of having something pulling down on the roof, it will dry and actually give it a little more support, a little more structural integrity. The DB skin is great. Same thing on a floor pan, because it's a kind of a vibration compound, basically a damping compound, not a damping sheet. So on the bottom, I would use DB skin and all those hard to reach places. You can brush it on, you have to spray it on, brush on, roll on, that type of thing too. But I would use DB armor. That stuff kicks butt. So the big difference in all these different sound insulation sheets, there's one out there and they're everywhere. You see them on all these TV shows. I think I mentioned this before. You see a lot of big name car builders doing it wrong. They're putting these big heavy sheets up under the roof panel. Yeah. Their product is great, but the technology has moved down the road a little bit.
Okay.
I'm not going to knock them because they spend a lot of money in advertising and they're great for the industry. They just are. Even our competitors are good because they spend money on advertising. They help promote at least the automotive industry. I know we're in other market sectors too, like heavy duty and stuff like that. But we started off as primarily an automotive company, so that's what we're going to focus on. The problem is they're big, they're heavy. One of the other competitors we have, not the one you see everywhere, but another one, pretty popular. They're advertising like how thick their butyl is, that asphalt looking part. That couldn't be more wrong than anything. Mm-hmm. So you have think about it, you got two plates. So take your two hands, make them flat, lay them on top of each other. So the bottom one is your floorboard. That's vibrating like this. So the top plate, the top panel, which would be like the foil side. It's not for heat, by the way, people out there. I don't care what anybody else tells you, even our own stuff. It doesn't do squat for heat. So the top panel is there to kind of counterbalance the bottom one and reduce the vibration. That's how you do that. By increasing that butyl gap there, you're just allowing the counterbalance sheet to vibrate more. So that couldn't be more wrong. And then our DB armor, we use very thin butyl. Difference is that our foil is a little bit thicker. It's not so thick that when you cut it and manipulate it, you're going to slice your hand open. It's most of the other guys are using 4 mil. We're using 6 mil. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit more substantial. The part of the vibration thing is you want to get your counter panel, the top panel, to be thicker because you're trying to match not the complete thickness of your, of like a body panel, because who wants to stack another body panel on there, and it wouldn't work that well anyway. So you want to get closer to that thickness. So that's really the misconception or bad thing. So if I was going to do a car start to finish, sorry I went off on a rant there.
It's all right.
DB skin, roof panel.
Okay.
Once that dries, I glue the stealth shield in there because that'll stop the heat from coming in. Again, all lightweight stuff. That's the killer thing about it. It's all lightweight.
And the nice thing is we made a kit for that.
Yeah.
It's the headliner kit. Check it out.
Yeah, DB headliner kit. It's awesome. Then I would DB armor on the floor. On the outer door skins, I would put the DB skin because it's just a great application for it. Same thing, get some of that ringing out of there. On the inner door panel, like behind the door panel, a lot of factories have like a plastic piece in there. Use that, put the DB Defender in there. It's a heat moldable thing. You can get into nooks and crannies. And then if you really were if I was doing like a Lincoln or a Cadillac restoration where I'm not really going for weight, speed. Mm-hmm. So on top of my DB armor on the bottom there, I'd put that DB Sniper. And that handles kind of a different frequency. That handles more road noise and that type of thing. So you can get a car real, real quiet.
Kind of like a savant on this stuff. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
We don't really, we always talk about how to curb heat, but we have ways to curb sound and put it all together as one piece. So I just wanted everybody to know that.
Get a good guide. The problem is there's a lot of misinformation out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, I don't want to just
Just
a lot
check
of
that.
misleading marketing with. We really do try to be honest, man. If it may not always help us if we say something doesn't perform like it should.
Right.
I mean, I'd say we are honest. We're spot on with everything we do. If we ever see something, we'll make a correction. But I don't think we've ever had that happen yet, where we've been wrong. So it's difficult because we don't have a ton of money out there in marketing, so we're fighting a lot. But you know what? With the internet now and the way people deal with stuff on social media and stuff like that, you can get the truth out there now pretty quick. So that's what kind of the podcast is about too. One of the things we're trying to do here is debunk and
Give you some good info.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, and you can always check out our website, heatshieldproducts.com. So it's like just a vault of knowledge. I mean, some of the stuff I can't believe we put on there because the information is so good. But you should check that out because if you're ever doing a project, everything you could imagine is on there. So check that out.
Yeah.
Well,
can we do new products? Can we talk about new products maybe?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about something.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I saw you talking with the boys in back, and are you doing something with our heat shield? Is it the mat or the? We had the piece that went underneath like a race.
Oh yeah, so
carpet.
the floor shield. So
floor
we have
shield, thank you.
We have the HP floor shield and the light floor shield. The light floor shield actually those two kind of got rolled into one.
Right.
And in all honesty, I think that is something we started in 88 or 89. Started making those.
So due for an update.
Got a major update.
Yeah. Big revision.
Yeah.
What I saw was it was insane.
They look awesome.
Yeah, they do. They came out really cool. An idea we've actually had for like a year or so, just haven't gotten to it.
Yeah.
So it looks like a carbon fiber on the top. Bottom side is the stealth shield. So the thing ends up being a hair over an eighth of an inch thick. The old ones were about half-inch insulation, but we compress it down so it's more like quarter inch or so.
Yeah.
Can you remind the listeners on what temperature that'll take?
So on this, because of the vinyl, we're limiting it.
Okay.
The actual stealth shield fabric itself, just the felt itself, will take 1,800 degrees, and it's a killer product because you can hit it with a torch on one hand and hit the stealth shield with a torch on one side, put your hand on the other, and you'll feel the heat. Don't get me wrong, but your skin isn't boiling off.
Yeah.
And it's only an eighth of an inch thick, so it's an incredible product.
Yes.
So basically what we've done, we've got two versions of it, since we've got a patent on some magna mount technology. So the two versions of the new floor shield are, one has magnets in the corners and on the bigger mats on the sides, so you can just kind of drop it in your car and it'll sit. The other one is like the original one where it's got grommets, so if you want to attach it with that method, you can. But it's super awesome. I mean, and it's again primarily racing.
Yeah.
But dude, a guy with a rat rod, and I don't know, I kind of hate that term too. I can't remember who we were talking with at PRI, and he said I hate that term.
Oh yeah, who was that?
And he was on the old search and restore on Power Block. Man, his name's escaping me right now. Anyway. Yeah, he's right. It's more like a traditional hot rod. A hot rod is anything that you're modifying.
Yeah.
Hell, a muscle car is a hot rod. A race car is a hot rod because you're hot rodding it. You're making it different.
Gow out.
Yeah.
But more like a traditional hot rod where maybe you don't have the big budget for anything, but you need to do something. It's like the easiest way to keep your floorboard cool. We're going to send some off to Michelle Abadi. I know she was complaining about her heel in her car.
Yeah, she was.
So some heat from the trans tunnel. I don't think they've lined the underside of that car with sticky shield or anything like that yet.
We got some of that done when we were out for SEMA. We got that video is up on YouTube as well. We did not mess around with her pedal around the box of her pedal though. But
the foot box, yeah. And on that Trans Am car, it's configured a little different.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to send her one and let her be the test mule. But she's she should be stoked on it, man.
So hypothetically speaking, I mean, off-roading, if somebody had
anything,
rock
man.
crawler, they take the carpet
Dude,
out.
heavy duty truck. That's one of the most neglected applications for insulation. Farmers. These guys are out in these things literally like all day. Now, a lot of those things are driven by GPS and that kind of stuff now, so they're not, but they're there just in case something goes wrong. So they're sitting there.
Yeah.
You could actually the magnetic one. Guess what you can do with it? You could take it, turn around upside down, and you could stick it up in your roof panel.
Yeah.
If you have a metal roof panel, and the thing is, if you don't have metal, you got aluminum or something. Silicone some metal washers up there, put the magnets up in place, and it'll go up there. But it'll work on the floor, it'll work on the roof panel with the magnetic one, obviously. But, dude, it's just awesome, man. It cuts down the heat so much.
Sizes?
Real similar to the other ones.
Okay.
Odd shapes, yeah, we're going to do those too. But, we're starting with the basics. Basically, it's a major upgrade to a product that's, oh, man, almost as old as the company. So...
That's killer. That's great.
Well, speaking of that, what is this? Is this 30?
Yes.
35, right? Wow, year 35.
35.
So 2020 is year 35.
They started the company before you were born, Steve.
No. God, no.
Oh,
I wish.
Bunch of old dudes sitting right here. That's what we got for today's podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, hit us up, please. We want to hear from you.
And we're going to try to get some guests in here soon, too.
Yeah, whether you like the podcast, leave us a comment. Definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel. There is like I said, a vault of information on there. You can see Shane try to manipulate a bunch of stuff, which is actually pretty cool, but and stop that heat. And if you have questions, podcast at heatshieldproducts.com, or you can go online to our tech and check that out.
I'm sorry, we are next to manufacturing. There's two walls behind us, so you're gonna hear some
the air compressors going.
Yeah, the air compressors going.
We can't stop production.
We can't stop production for the podcast, but we do thank you for listening. And absolutely, leave us feedback. That's how our products get better, is by listening to you. So, this is a product we're putting out there, so give us feedback and help us get it better.
That's it.
All right,
See ya.
Thank you.
From everyone at Heatshield Products, we thank you for listening to Hot Laps. Leave that review, subscribe, tell a friend, and most of all, stay cool. We'll see you next time, right here on Hot Laps.